want to use the three words that Jesus gives us to explore what Jesus says. That Jesus says the thief comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. I want to consider how this may be applicable to us in 2025 and in our American life. So the first word, steal. If you look at the original language, the Greek there is klepto, which we probably know. We've heard that word before, a kleptomaniac. That's the English word, which is the involuntary urge to steal things. But when you explore the Greek word of klepto, it has the connotation as to secretly steal or to take away by stealth. So picture pickpocketing versus like, this is a stick up, give me all of your money. You know, they're both stealing, but there's different ways to it. So to secretly, like pickpocketing, secretly steal. And the first tactic of the enemy is to keep you from living life to the fullest. The life that Jesus came to give us is to secretly steal, we could say. So a question for you to ponder. What are the most valuable things in your life? What are the most valuable things in your life? You may be thinking about, well, what about this or that? But I believe that no matter who you are, no matter what your net worth is, the two most precious things in your life are your time and your attention. Because once it's spent, you never get it back. Your time, your attention are the two most valuable things in your life. You never get it back once it's gone. And so Paul instructs us in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 11. Paul says, therefore, test everything to see what's pleasing to the Lord, and don't participate in unfruitful actions of darkness. Instead, you should reveal the truth about them. And so that's what I'm trying to do today, is reveal the truth about the tactics that the enemy uses to distract you and me and to rob us of living life to the fullest. So with that said, I want to quote Tristan Harris, was a former Google insider, so high up in corporate Google, and he calls technology an arms race for your attention. and he says that it's intentionally designed for distraction and addiction. And also in what economists call the attention economy, our focus is the product being sold. Now, that's not a conspiracy, that's not some hot take. Like Google, it's well documented of what these big tech industries, what their strategies are and why they do what they do. Seth Godin points out that your phone doesn't work for you, but you work for your phone. The phone works for Apple or Google or Facebook. And we want to believe that we are the customer, but actually that's not the business model. We're the product. If we were the customer, we'd be paying to use Facebook or Instagram or something, but it's free. Why is it free? Because we're the product, not the customer. What's being sold is our attention. Our attention is being monetized. The big tech industries know the value of our excitement and the value of our anger and the value of our lust and everything else. And they use that knowledge to design products and algorithms that cultivate digital addiction. It's not for our benefit, it's for their profit. A fascinating thing, this author, educator, cultural critic, his name is Neil Postman, and he wrote a book in 1985, so that's 40 years ago, but he wrote a book predicting the effect of TV and entertainment on the American Western culture. So you want to know what he predicted? In the 1980s, he predicted that there's two areas of society that would be most damaged by TV and entertainment, and it was politics and religion. And he went on to say, in politics, he predicted that TV celebrities would replace educated, intelligent, wise leaders. And in religion, he predicted that depth and discipleship would give way to superficial, feel-good spirituality. He saw that coming back in 1985, before the internet, before everything, but man, he is right. Just think about, has there ever been a time in your life where you got a text message from your friend, and so you open up your phone, you respond to the text message, and then while you're there, you're like, wow, I've got something going on later today outside, what's the weather like? And then you pop over to Instagram or Facebook, and then you start scrolling, and then you see this news article, and so you click the news article, and then you get on these reels, and you see this reel of this mountain biker riding on top of a hill, then you go to the next video, and there's a science experiment in the backyard, and you're like, ooh, that's cool, I should try try that. And then there's this hilarious parent reenacting something that their kid did. And then there's this sick guitar solo that you watch. And then it's the best pickleball serve you've ever seen. And then there's this quote from Elon Musk, and it keeps going on. And then you look up from your phone and realize, like, oh man, it's been 45 minutes. Like my friend texted me 45 minutes ago, and then somehow I just got lost. I got distracted, and I lost all that time. The time just disappeared. Where does the time go? Or sometimes we just turn on Netflix or something, and then we look up, oh man, it's been an hour. Where did that time go? And also, if you're online, what about the clickbait articles? Those headlines, the sensational, ridiculous, misleading headlines that trick you into clicking it, like, you wouldn't believe who's waiting tables. You're like, oh, who is it? And then you're like, oh, there's nothing interesting in here, right? Like, it gets us all the time, and we hate the clickbait, but we still click it, so we're interested. We get sucked down into a wormhole of just worthless, mindless information or trivia or something, and our time and our attention gets secretly stolen. Sometimes little by little, and sometimes by big sections at a time. Psalm 119:37, the psalmist prays, "Turn my eyes away from looking at worthless things. Make me live by your way." If only we prayed that more often. According to research in February of 2021, in the United States, nearly half of the population reports, so this is self-reporting, that they spend 5 to 6 hours daily on their smartphones. And now many of us are probably like, oh, I would never do that, but at least on the Apple phone, I don't know anything about Androids, but you can swipe over, and there's a screen time app that it measures how much screen time you have on your phone, and it's scary. Like, what? There's no way I spent that much time looking at my phone, but it's true. It measures that. Along with that, so among the U.S. teenagers, 46% of teenagers report being online, quote, almost constantly. 46% of teenagers say they're online almost constantly, which is a significant increase from 24% reported just a decade ago. The reality is we lose so much time in the black hole of devices. But it's not just time. We lose our capacity to pay attention as well. That very few of us have the power of sustained attention these days, of what's called deep work or concentration or just being able to sit and read a book. Like, so many of us can't do that anymore. Researchers say that our attention spans are continuing to decrease. Not that we had much to work with anyways, but it's now down, they say, to 8 seconds. That's how long our attention span is. Which means goldfish have the attention span of 9 seconds. We're losing to goldfish. Go us. An author, Catherine Price, wrote on all of this. She wrote a book called How to Break Up with Your Phone. Like, that's where our world is. There's books about how to break up with your phone. But she wrote about the formation power of the cell phone. And she said, if you wanted to invent a device that could rewire our minds, if you wanted to create a society of people who are perpetually distracted, isolated, and overtired, if you wanted to weaken our memories and damage our capacity for focus and deep thought, if you wanted to reduce empathy, encourage self-absorption, and redraw the lines of social etiquette, you'd likely end up with a smartphone. It's interesting. Our kids are growing up seeing the back of our phones half the time, which I'm convicted of that too. But if you picture their perspective, they're always looking up at our phones. If you go to a restaurant, just look around sometime. Look away from your phone. Look around. You'll see everybody else is looking at their phones. In any place that there's waiting, whether it's a waiting room at the doctor's office or at the grocery store, everybody's on their phones. Nobody talks to each other anymore. The thief comes to secretly steal our time and attention. Secondly, the thief comes to kill. The word kill in the Greek here is thuo. Can everybody say thuo? Thuo. Well done. To kill, to slay, to slaughter. In Luke 15, the story of the prodigal son, when the son returns, his father says to the servants, he says, kill, thuo, the fatted calf, to celebrate. In Acts 10, God tells Peter to rise, kill, and eat. It's the same word used there. To kill. That's part of the enemy's playbook. So 1 Peter 5:8, we're encouraged to be, it says, be clear-headed. Keep alert. Why is that? Your accuser, the devil, is on the prowl like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. And we may see that and we're like, whatever, okay, yeah, this is all figurative or whatever. Well, a research team at San Diego University looked at a significant rise in depressive symptoms and suicidality and suicide deaths between 2010 and 2015 among teenagers, ages 13 to 18. So from 2010 to 2015, they saw a rise in these things, so they started to study it. They discovered a sharp rise in depression and suicide among teens, especially girls, correlating directly with increased smartphone and social media use. Multiple studies in the US, Turkey, UK, even China have found that the more exposure an individual has to social media, the more likely they are to experience the following mental health issues: anxiety, depression, social anxiety, low self-esteem, narcissism, insomnia, and decreased sleep. Anybody want to sign up? Like, yeah, sign me up for those things. No. I'm not trying to be dramatic here. But when we look at this, and the reality, when someone feels suicidal, this is the work of Satan. Jesus says the thief comes to kill. Is it possible that, at least in first world countries, that one of the enemy's most effective tools is right in front of us, in our hands, lighting up our faces, keeping us anxious, worried, isolated in our own worlds? And since the wide adoption of the smartphone in the last 10 years, rates of teen depression and suicide have skyrocketed. The thief comes to secretly steal, to kill, and the third word is to destroy. The word in the Greek here for destroy is apolomai. So hard to say. Apolomai. It's to destroy, to perish, to take away. And when you explore more the definition, the usage of this word in the original language, it's in the semantic range of this word that you can still be living, still breathing, but there's an absence of life. Maybe to better picture that, Abraham Lincoln once said, in the end, it's not about the years in your life, but it's about the life in your years that count. Do you know somebody maybe that like, yeah, they're alive, but are they living? Maybe we've thought that about ourselves. It's possible to have an absence of vitality, an absence of flourishing in your life. Why? Because the thief comes to secretly steal, to kill, and to destroy a flourishing life. Research shows that the widespread impact of smartphones and that they're destroying the next generation's ability to navigate the physical world. It's impacting the development of social skills, of managing stress and conflict and anxiety. Smartphones are destroying healthy sexuality through constant unlimited access to pornography. And it gives access to this explicit content to children, and it destroys marriages as well. Now, some parents may be hearing this and they're thinking like, wow, man, this is terrible, but it's too late. Like we've already given our kids a smartphone, or they already spend hours a day on their tablet. Like what can be done now? How do we rein it back in? Well, I'm not suggesting it's easy, and I'll be honest, it's not easy. Scientifically speaking, we're dealing here with addiction. But we want the best for our kids, right? We want the best for ourselves, don't we? And we're all trying to work out how to protect them, how to guide them in this world. And churches should be talking about this more. That's why we're doing it, because this is no longer an individual problem. It's a societal problem. Our unhealthy relationships with these devices are wreaking havoc on our personal lives, our relational lives, and our spiritual lives as well. It all ties in together. We can't separate this has nothing to do with me and God. Yes, it does. We need to work out a way forward as a community.